The latest developments in the coronavirus crisis, and Weekend Sunrise can reveal the government's coronavirus app will be launched today. An outbreak of COVID-19 in a Sydney aged care home claims a sixth life. Passengers aboard a Virgin flight to Brisbane are being traced after a passenger tests positive.
150 Australians are this morning on their way home from South America aboard a government Mercy flight. Britain becomes the fifth country to pass an incredible 20,000 deaths. And the World Health Organization warns against immunity passports, saying COVID-19 immunity cannot be guaranteed.
This morning, the number of global infections is more than 2.8 million. The number of deaths passed 200,000. That was just a few hours ago. It's already approaching 202,000.
In Australia, there have been 6,695 cases of COVID-19, with nearly 5,400 people having recovered. The national death toll now stands at 81.
And we have special coverage this morning with our team of reporters. Let's go first to Jennifer Beshwadi, who is in Canberra. Morning, Jen. Now, this controversial virus tracing app will be launched today, we understand.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, guys. This is one of the federal government's 3 goals to easing those social restrictions, and that is more testing, greater trace capacity and a rapid response to outbreaks. The smartphone app that I can reveal will be launched nationally today runs on Bluetooth. It stores the name and number of all the people you come in contact with for 15 minutes or more if they also have the app installed. Now, currently, if you test positive, you have to give authorities the details of everyone you come in contact with anyway. This app just digitises that. So if you test positive, that information will go directly to state health authorities and they'll contact the people immediately. And likewise, if you've come in contact with someone that's tested positive, then expect a phone call. Now, of course, privacy concerns have been raised, including by some within the coalition. Barnaby Joyce says he doesn't want to be tracked by the government, but the Prime Minister insists that's not the case. There is no tracking involved. The data that the app collects is encrypted. It's stored in a secret database that only can be accessed by the health authorities once you test positive. No Commonwealth agency can access that data, and I'm told that the best safeguards are in place to protect that database from hacking. Now, it's entirely voluntary. The government wants everyone as possible to download it. I believe it will be available today, possibly tomorrow. The at least 40% of the population have to download it for it to work at its best. But the government stressed that the sooner and the quicker they can track these outbreaks, then the quicker they'll be able to remove some of these social restrictions.
Yeah, and we know how important the tracing process is. Well, let's go now to 7 News reporter Samantha Brett. Sam, more Australians who were stuck overseas are now on their way home.
They are, Matt. Good morning. Huge relief for 181 passengers. They'd all become stuck in South America over the past couple of weeks. They'd become increasingly desperate, trying everything they could to get on a flight, but there were none available. The federal government has now stepped in alongside Qantas, and they've organised this special flight that left Argentina yesterday, and it will arrive on home soil in Melbourne tonight, carrying 154 Australians.
I'm really proud, along with the whole crew who volunteered for the service, just so proud to be playing our part to bring these people home. And what I'm very excited about is seeing the look on the people's faces as they approach the aeroplane, see that great big kangaroo on the tail, and hopefully make them feel like they're just about home.
And interesting to note, all the crew on board that flight were actually volunteers. Now, there are more problems for Virgin this morning. 7 of its aircraft that is at Adelaide Airport, well, they have now been seized. The airport claiming that Virgin owes it $10 million. Meantime, on a flight from Melbourne to Brisbane last week, well, one passenger has now tested positive for COVID-19. Authorities are now scrambling to contact anyone that may have been sitting closely to that passenger. That is flight VA341, and they are trying to contact anyone in rows 17, 18, 19, 20 or 21. They are urging all those people to be self-isolating for the next 2 weeks, guys.
7 News US correspondent Amelia Brace is in Los Angeles, where there's an intense heat wave. Now, Amelia, cooling centres have been opened, but there's social distancing restrictions. So how's that going to work?
Well, Mon, the concern is that many of these people who are mostly elderly have now spent the better part of 2 months at home alone. And now with this heat wave, city officials were worried that while most of them may have avoided COVID-19, they're now at risk of heat exhaustion because many people do not have air conditioning. So they've set up these cooling centres, which are basically town halls, school halls, city halls that are intensely air conditioned, where people can come and spend the day. They can even bring their pets and play games so long as they are social distancing inside. Elsewhere, we've actually also seen some beaches temporarily open today, though not here in LA itself, the city deeming that it's still too dangerous. But to the north in Ventura and the south in Orange County, there are some beaches open just so people can go for a swim. There are concerns that people will race out of LA City to those beaches and really overwhelm them when it gets hotter this afternoon, obviously making social distancing all the more difficult. Nationally, the United States is still in a dire position. We are edging closer to our 1 millionth case, and we've just passed 53,000 deaths. And many states, including California, are still not flattening the curve. Here, we saw our deadliest day so far just this week.
Harrowing numbers indeed. Now to 7 News Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfield. Hugh, the World Health Organisation warns there is no evidence people who've recovered from this virus actually become immune.
Well, the WHO is saying there does need to be more research. A lot of countries have been hoping that antibody tests could prove that people have had the virus and then could be given a sort of immunity passport, allowing them to return to the community, to travel, to work once again. But the WHO says it's simply not going to work. They said, quote, there is no evidence that people who have recovered are protected from second infection. And they say that if people do believe that they can't get the illness a second time, then there'll be a false sense of security, and that will only lead to the further spread of COVID-19. Many countries, of course, are trying to lift their lockdowns. Here in the UK, it is likely to continue for quite some time, considering that Britain has recorded in the last 24 hours its 20,000th death in hospital from COVID-19. Just a couple of weeks ago, government doctors were saying that if Britain kept the death toll to 20,000, then that would be a good result. Clearly, it's fast becoming a bad one.
As the deaths caused by this terrible virus pass another tragic and terrible milestone, the entire nation is grieving. We know that people are frustrated, but we are not out of danger yet. It is imperative that people continue to follow the rules designed to protect their families, their friends and their loved ones. This will continue to save lives.
And the lockdown now looks to get even tighter here. It is only now that the government is said to be considering forcing travellers who are coming into Britain from overseas to go into 14 days of lockdown like Australia has been forcing travellers to do for weeks.
Thank you very much, Hugh, and to our team of reporters. We'll check in throughout the show. Here's Mon.
Thanks, Matt. A sixth person has died at the coronavirus-plagued Western Sydney nursing home. The 83-year-old died at the Newmarch home near Penrith, taking our national toll to 81.
We've also had 4 new cases. There are 2 residents and 2 staff that have tested positive.
Meantime, there are fears a new coronavirus cluster could form at another aged care facility after a worker tested positive to the virus. The Health Department is now monitoring Catholic Healthcare Boddington at Wentworth Falls, with residents confined to their rooms.